helping people realize that this addiction gene, as bad as it can suck, is also a superpower, that it's only found in 9% of the world's population. And, look, you're going to find something to fight for. And if you don't find a cause that is above your old causes, that you will create chaos in your life. So find a purpose, find a passion, and start fighting for it like your life depends on it.
Jason LaChance here, a commercial-free version of this conversation. Hey, I want to tell you I've got some exciting news on things that I'm doing, and I'd appreciate you following me there. I am going to be producing and sometimes co-hosting a new podcast that's showing to be very successful, and it's in the same wheelhouse. It's called We're Out of Time with Richard Tate.
The We're Out of Time podcast with Richard Tate, featuring two-time NBA champion Lamar Odom.
You were in a coma, right?
For 3 days. They told me I wasn't even going to talk again, let alone walk.
Musician and social media influencer Andrea Russett.
Oh, yeah.
As of today, 2 weeks.
Star of Netflix Tall Girl Ava Michelle.
The next morning, I found him, and
You found him?
I did find him.
Personal stylist Parker Noriega.
These kind of doctors, majority of the time, are yes doctors.
Ken Kraft, the founder of Hope the Mission.
I had my own broken world experience. I lost everything.
On the We're Out of Time podcast with the man who revolutionized addiction treatment, Richard Tate. Subscribe now on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Richard is one of the premier individuals in addiction, treatment, and recovery. And he started the We're Out of Time podcast. I'm producing it. I'm going to be co-hosting. He's had so many amazing guests, celebrities talking about their addiction struggles, recovery, mental health, and so much more. Please give it a follow. The link is in the podcast description, youtube.com/@RichardTate. Or if you're listening to the podcast, search for We're Out of Time, and you'll find the podcast there. And you'll be hearing and seeing me on there, so if you want to remain connected with me, that's the place to do it. Or some of you may know that I do work for PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need, a nonprofit helping those and their families through the process of addiction and recovery. And I've included links for all that and the podcast that we do called Don't Hide the Scars down below in the description. And I put my email there as well. I've had so many people reach out through Knockin Doorz Down asking to be connected to services, and that is the best way to get a hold of me, jason@painnonprofit.org. All right, we're going commercial free here on out. We just leaving the gym?
No, just getting off work.
What's work for you now?
So I lead groups in various rehabs, detoxes, and mental health facilities. We do a plethora of different stuff, breath work, meditations. I teach some Emmett Fox Golden Key, which I don't know if you know about Emmett Fox, but he was the pastor of the Oxford Group, which created the 6 tenets of the Oxford Group, which got Bill sober, which later became the 12 Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Emmett Fox has this practical practice of finding spiritual truths and statements that appeal to you, such as, there is no power but God, what's meant for me will be, whatever kind of statement that feels good to you. The universe is conspiring in my favor. I'm an energetic being having a human experience. Anything that you can repeat in your conscious mind to kind of reprogram your subconscious and unconscious to stop worrying about, thinking about, or focusing on your problem, and allowing these spiritual truths or principles or solutions, rather than focusing on the problem, speak into existence the solution. And you basically have a quantum leap type of experience where these things just start to become your default setting, where you just start to live in this state that, the universe is conspiring in my favor. And what is meant for me will be. I'm not going to force anything. I'm not going to chase anything. What I want's chasing me, and you can go back in different literature and find a lot of this stuff. When we straighten out spiritually, we both straighten out mentally and physically as well. we don't struggle. We relax and take it easy. If my own house is in order, the answers
Right.
come, this kind of stuff. So it's really fun to study Emmett Fox and kind of get the precepts before the concept and spiritual activation that kind of created the 12-step program, which is really fun. But we do also like some chakra alignment and just community stuff, education on the addiction piece, helping people realize that this addiction gene, as bad as it can suck, is also a superpower, that it's only found in 9% of the world's population. And, look, you're going to find something to fight for. And if you don't find a cause that is above your old causes, that you will create chaos in your life. So find a purpose, find a passion, and start fighting for it like your life depends on it. And you won't be obsessed with drinking and using anymore, because you have a new obsession, and that's service. That's working with animals. That is educating people against, addiction. That is, your fight can be repairing your family life, but you got to we're fighters, man. We're warriors. So just, decide what side of the war you want to be on.
Dude, I've never heard it put so well as that what is meant for me is I don't remember exactly. It said will be, and it's searching me out.
Yeah,
dude, that's almost like next tattoo shit, because I've kind of been struggling with that. I was talking with this awesome dude, Ben Tuff. He 11 years, coming up on 11 years in recovery, but he does like the long distance ocean swimming for charity, like 15 hours, dude, like out.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah.
And I had told him the same thing, and he just kind of dropped some knowledge as well. But I think I still have been struggling with that, finding what's for me, and getting in my own way at times, as opposed to, do the next right thing. I mean, I'm a serenity prayer in the morning, night guy, oftentimes, and multiple times throughout the day.
Yeah.
On my sober birthday, my girlfriend got me a mug, and it's right on there, serenity prayer, my coffee mug. So,
Sweet,
it's right there to hit with the cup of Joe in the morning. But
I love it.
Breath work. I've started doing some. Tell me about, like, are you getting? So I did an hour-long session once, which was gnarly. It was so awesome.
Intensive, right?
Yeah, my brother's like a total Wim Hof dude. He lives in Indiana, and when it was like 5 below, he sends a picture of him walking outside in just shorts, but when did you start to embrace some of these alternatives that are so beneficial that, like you said, those of us, that's like 9% of the population with this superpower of addiction?
Yeah, which can be wielded for our harm or for the improvement of others. I started doing breath work about 7 years ago. A dear friend of mine introduced me to it. I was very resistant. I was kind of closed-minded, I guess you could say, spiritually. And what he was talking about sounded like some voodoo, man. It sounded like some weird crap. And, some kind of incantation of demonic spirits or something. It sounded real weird to me, burning sage and, having these traumatic experiences be released, and inner child work and, self-healing. I was like, man, if I could heal myself, I wouldn't be in sober living right now. We actually lived in sober living together, and like I was a very different person years ago, man. We're talking about, trust your, your soul, and let your, be guided by your heart. And I was like, man, I got a crippled heart, dude. I want death and destruction. I'm a maniac. But again, I was focused on the problem, right? I was trying to overcome through my own might and through my own ability. And what Einstein has a quote, it says, to try to overcome a problem with the same mind that created the problem is insane. That to solve something that I created, I must first become an enhanced, elevated, or higher awareness, a new experience deeper wisdom and different perspective individual. So my perspective created the problem. I have to have a new perspective. So anyway, these are things that I've learned since then. And so anyway, the guy broke me down finally 6 months into it. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. And I did this breath work and I had this, wow, this is like my most authentic self. I've never felt so empty of bullshit and so honest. And the way I felt and the tears that came and the, little bit of, little bit of self-love that was coming through and a lot of discomfort in the body and different, resistance that I was facing and distractions and all this stuff. But I felt so connected, so calm, and so real that there was really no denying what I was feeling. It was too beautiful and honest to be fake. And so my mind was just kind of changed in that moment. I got certified in breathwork a long time ago. I taught it in rehabs for some years, put it on the side and started doing other work. And the last 9 months have strictly been working in rehabs and detoxes and giving away this medicine essentially of working on many different levels with the breath work. So the breath work that I have been utilizing is transformative breath work. We do spiritual and emotional work. I'm not working to overcome cold. I'm not working to overcome heat. I'm not working to, change my biology. I'm working to tap into source and to purge from me these blockages, these old ideas, and these attachments that I have that are blocking me off from being right here, right now, a worker amongst workers, safe and protected, having as much abundance as everything else has. Every flower, every tree, every bird, every bee, the sun, the moon, the ocean, the tide, it's all working in this beautiful harmony. It has as much sunlight as it needs, as much nourishment from the soil. No bird ever goes hungry. They have all the seeds and bugs they need to eat. They have all the materials to build their home, right? The plants are doing this beautiful job of creating oxygen for us and cleaning the atmosphere, and they're all living their divine purpose, but I'm not. Terminal uniqueness is a term we have for this, right? Yeah. I'm different. And in this place, when you get honest with yourself through the breath, you literally have a spiritual awakening or an enhanced awareness of how futile and fatal this type of thinking is, and how really everything is right here, right now. Like this moment, wow. You come into alignment, man, with yourself, with your higher self, with spirit, with others, and boy, it feeds your soul, man.
You mentioned something there that struck a chord with me in compared to the person that's never done breath work. Okay, I've done some, but in the grand scheme, and the gentleman I was working with was at the end, a lot of where did this show up in your body when you were feeling these different things.
Yes.
And I definitely noticed, because my tension, I am a neck and shoulder and jaw person. And when we talked about trauma, because I did as a child have some sexual trauma, there was a point in there where I did notice tension in my groin area.
Okay. Yeah.
And so it was kind of interesting to me because it sparked, wow, okay. Because now as a man, sober, a good solid partner, our physical intimacy and connection there is I don't get to hide behind a chemical anymore. I mean, I know you went through this, so I gotta feel it. So it's like this experience that I hadn't felt since like my early 20s, so it's about a 20-year gap of actually having to experience this connection with another human being, another part of this universe. And so for me, that was really interesting with the breath work and how you mentioned feeling it in your body, that I started to connect some of those things. And how do I
Beautiful.
release this stuff to no longer carry the burden of
Right.
baggage somebody else put on me
Yep. Yep.
and carry it now as an adult? It's too heavy. I don't want it. I don't need it. And it's
Yeah.
certainly
Exactly.
not helping me be here, now, present, let alone in
Right.
a beautiful moment to share with another human being.
So powerful, man. And when you're in that place, like I said earlier, there's no denying it. You're like, holy crap. I feel the tension there. And I know what that is. I didn't know it was there 5 minutes ago. Matter of fact, we do most of the things we do, what? Driven by 100 forms of fear and self-delusion, right? We've become deluded. We've painted this whole different story, different picture. We've created a palatable fantasy that we can survive in and be okay. But the truth is, I still have this stuck energy there, and I've been carrying it with me, and I feel it. I know what it is. Nobody else can feel that in your groin. Only you can feel it. Nobody else knows exactly what that is. You know exactly what that is. And if you ask me, that's God, dude. That's God giving you an awareness of what it can be let go of, to be restored, to be set free, to be what Bible talks about, being washed clean, right? To be reborn. And when you notice it, you can release it. And exactly everything you said, it's not yours to carry. And we talk about on the shoulders in breath work, that's usually where this unconscious idea that I have to carry the weight of the world on my shoulders, that I have this responsibility to plow this field. And if I don't do it, nobody's going to do it, and I can bear the burden. But that's where that manifests, that energy. Different energies manifest, male side, feminine side. You get the masculine side on the left and the feminine side on the right. So you get different stuff going, stuff in the throat, the sacral chakra, we would call that, the groin area. And when you're shut down in that energy system, you're not living your best life. And by bringing awareness to that and by breathing through that, that'll just disappear, man. The more you do the breath work, the more that'll just be, one day that won't even be there anymore. You won't have had to go to a therapist. You won't have had to have EMDR. You won't have had to do anything but allow it to go away.
Hey, we're going to talk some more other than the podcast, man.
So cool, man.
Now you got me hooked, bro.
Congratulations, bro. That's big.
Yeah. A buddy of mine, I don't know if you know Sonny Mayo, he was telling me about a lady that she was going into elementary schools because there's the kids, especially, this post-COVID anxiety really high. And she started going, I think it was once a month. And by the end of 6 months, these kids, it was like, hey, Johnny, how's your anxiety? What's that? I don't have it anymore.
Heck yeah, man. Kids are open. They're easy.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Well, I don't know. I got 2 teenagers. I don't know how open or easy, brother.
Call that lady over. Call that lady.
Yeah, right. Let's jump back in time, man, because I know some of your journey, but obviously with the being a child star and those kind of things, I know that I've talked to enough of how it is, and it's the weird navigation, but I don't know much about you separate of the set. What was mom, dad, childhood, siblings?
Yeah, cool, man. Well, first, I want to thank you for having me on the show. I didn't thank you for that. Thanks for sticking it with me all this time. And I'm really stoked to be part of this thing. And thank you for just doing this and carrying this message and being this, a worker, carrying the message, bro. Appreciate you.
Oh, likewise. Thank you. That means more than you know.
Oh, awesome, bro. Awesome.
More than you know.
We're in it. We're in it together, baby. So yeah, I'm a single mom, and my father was kind of troubled kid, in and out of juvenile hall, in and out of jail, drug addict. My mom was kind of a very sheltered, she had very, very strict parents. She wasn't real familiar with the world at large. And and things like drugs and crime. She wasn't allowed to watch movies or TV shows and all that kind of stuff. So, she got in with the bad boy who seemed exciting and fun, but in high school. But anyway, here I am, and she's got to raise me on her own. And so it was meager beginnings with, on food stamps and housing and social workers coming to make sure that we were still poor, and going to, pretty grimy elementary schools and stuff, and getting in a lot of trouble. Had a lot of learning disabilities and, attention deficit disorder, hyperactivity, and getting in a lot of trouble, man. I didn't go to any recesses. I was in and out of the principal's office more than anybody in the history of my school. Sometimes the principal would just drop me off at my mom's house because she wouldn't answer the phone because I was always having to call and talk about getting in trouble. So I didn't really fit in there, and I wasn't having a good time. But I was always singing and dancing, and that was my passion, was creating music and movement and comedy skits and playing dress up. I really liked that fantasy world, and I really liked the energy that I created by people watching me and doing a good job. So I always say that, approval was really my drug of choice, my first drug. I got high off being celebrated, I guess you could say. And that passion is what helped me land all the commercials and stuff. When I was 6 years old, started acting, and I had already been rehearsing for years. I was already a professional, man, self-taught and all that stuff. So, my dad didn't even know who I was. My mom kind of kidnapped me in a sense and hid me from him. She wanted to save me from the pain of having a drug addict criminal father, but he ended up dying of a drug overdose, heroin overdose, when I was 26. I never knew him. I found out way later in life. And, me and my mom had a pretty amazing life together, and we did some incredible things and traveled all over the world. And I recorded 2 albums and had a couple top 10 hits, and, was on the #1 TV show in the world, and we made millions of dollars, and we lived in beautiful places on the beach. And, it was very interesting way to grow up. I was really fantasizing about being famous from a little kid and having this power and having this success. And it was like I created it, or I had some vision of what I was called to do, and I achieved it. It was really pretty cool. But when it all comes, like that, you think it's going to keep coming. And like we do, I got prideful, and I mean, I was a kid, man. Pride and ego and insecurity, and, egomaniac with an insecurity complex, inferiority complex. So that all melted down as I became a teenager and started doing what teenagers really do, and smoke weed and go to kegers and skate and snowboard and surf. And I wanted to break. Honestly, if I think back about it, I worked from 10 years old till 16. By the time I hit 16, I wanted to break. I wanted to take a vacation, and my version of a vacation was partying, going out and getting girls and drinking and dancing and going to nightclubs.
Yeah, well, and I'm sure, like you said, being a prominent face, #1 TV show in the world, the hits, like, I don't remember if this was the case, or I'm just making this up. Like, David kind of helped you. When I say David
Absolutely.
Hasselhoff,
Yes,
Germany and
yes.
Europe, and with your music, and
100%, man.
yeah. So if you don't have something checking that ego, like, like my ego was the opposite way. I think mine was that bullshit story of I'm the worst person in the world when I really hadn't done anything. It was just, it's the meaning I put on things,
Absolutely.
the meaningless life that I created. Like you said, the story for myself.
Honestly, I was the same. And even though I had the stuff and the things, even though I was highly sought after, I always never felt good enough. I didn't give myself any credit for what I had. It was always just focused on what I didn't have. So it's a very interesting paradigm to have gotten all the things that people think will make them happy and not been happy. It's actually a huge gift. You know, I mean, at one point I'm driving a Lamborghini and I got a penthouse and beautiful chicks and I'm super buff and you know, I'm famous, I'm getting calls for this or that. And I can remember feeling totally insane, man, totally crippled emotionally, not even enjoying any of that stuff. So hyper focused on what I was yet to have. So, you know, having that experience, knowing that that didn't fulfill me, that there was still a God-shaped hole, you know, with all the stuff and things, is actually probably one of the most valuable gifts on the face of the planet.
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't know about you. I mean, I just see it a lot with parents nowadays. They try to quill too much of the adversity that their kids just have to experience. You know, I mean, strong people are built out of tough times. And so we all have to go through that. I mean, just,
Yeah.
you know, physically we go through growing
Sure.
pains and everything else, you know, it's this desired elimination of emotional discomfort.
Yeah. It is pressure that makes diamonds, right? We are forged by fire. You know, the tempered steel is the strongest steel. And it takes a lot of banging and a lot of burning to temper that steel. So I would agree with you, man. Nobody grows from comfort. And I do believe that staying the same is the death of us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we want to hang on to anything, it'll be the death of us, because progress is where all the journey of making that progress through the discomfort or whatever it takes to continue to grow, continue to connect, continue to appreciate, continue to be more useful, more effective, an analysis of shortcomings and giving those over to God and championing those shortcomings, not of my own might, but of the mentors that I keep around me and my ability to turn it over. Man, that's the sweet spot. That's when I have this state of wonder, like, wow, look at all this stuff that's happening. This is cool. This is beyond what I'm capable of. I've really fed into and or bolstered into myself the sweat of my brow, the brawn of my back, and I've accomplished a lot, and it's been insufficient, you know? So, you know, I would agree with you on that, man. Like, you know, you got to be immersed in the experience, and to negate discomfort or to avoid discomfort is to block the experience, right? You gain wisdom through experience. No one is going to be any wiser, right? Is ignorance bliss? I don't know. It sucks sometimes, but
I think
I think it's necessary.
Yeah, I mean, I don't personally, especially, you know, the things that I've gone through and the work I've done on me, you know, I want to know my soulmate really well. That's me.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah. My favorite saying, no outside solutions to inside problems, you know?
Yeah.
And so in doing so, you know, I've found a gratitude for the shit I went through, because it allows me to connect. You know, I spoke at a high school the other day, sharing my story. This young lady comes up and goes, my story almost parallels yours. And it's, 17. And she's already been struggling with substances, you know, through it. And, you know, because, hey, sexual abuse is some tough stuff, man. And so, yeah, I'm grateful because that young lady now had a connection. There is somebody else that feels like I do right now, or they did, and they did something with it. They can get help. They can grow. They can process. They can, you know, be of service to others through it. So, you know,
you gave that girl hope, dude.
Yeah. Hey, ironic. The shirt, hope.
Nice. And I like what the topic you're touching on, you know, and let's talk about sexual abuse, man. It's,
Yes.
there's this saying that snake bites don't kill people. Snakes bite. That's what they do. It's a snake. It is the poison that continues to course through your vein that kills you. So yes, we've been hurt. Yes, things have happened to us. And although they might not be our fault, we are responsible to get that poison out. And if you expect anything from outside of yourself, you must first be able to give it. If you can give it, if you can expect to give that thing away, you can absolutely have it for yourself. But until you can give it, until you can be the thing which you want to receive, you can never receive it. Yeah. So it is only through forgiveness that we feel free. It's only through getting the venom out that we don't die. Mm-hmm. So forgiveness is this powerful, powerful tool. It takes a lot of stuff, right? A lot of, there's layers to that, to finding that forgiveness. But when we do, that's when we get free, man. It's a paradox. It's an absolute paradox. It doesn't seem like it would work that way, right?
I think that's one of the things with like amends, if you're a 12-step person and newcomers, that they struggle with, Yeah. It's like, yes, it's the right thing to do for wrong. Tell me if you've done this. I've made amends to people that are like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, of course. They don't have any idea.
Yeah. I'm like, well, it weighed on my heart.
Yeah.
And now it's been like, okay, man, cool. Thanks.
Yeah. It goes back to carrying that rock in your satchel that's been weighing you down, making your neck and shoulders hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many of those can we afford? How much more extra weight can we carry?
I'm at the point, man, I'm middle-aged. I don't want to carry more shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I wasn't built. I'm like, I'm 6'3", maybe 180 soaking wet, man. I'm not equipped to carry a huge load. So let's lighten this now.
Yeah, nobody is, man. Nobody is. We're actually, it's the reason it's uncomfortable is because it's not right. The reason it hurts, anxiety, stress, fear, anger, worry, self-doubt, they all create discomfort because they're not meant for us. We're not meant to have them. It's not part of who we are. Freedom, flow, abundance, gratitude, feeling connected, loving. That's who we are. That's who we are at the core of our being. All that stuff feels good because it is our divine purpose. It's what we're here to actually do. We're here to give the things that we want to receive. And when we have anger, when we can't forgive somebody, we get sick. And when we're obsessed with ourselves, we create anxiety. And when we're obsessed with figuring the world out and what we need to do to be okay, we're not okay. It doesn't. It's a paradox. It's an absolute paradox. This is where that contrary action term really comes from. Take contrary action. Do the opposite of what you think you need to do. And when you say it like that, it sounds, I don't know. It sounds almost too simple, right? I like to go beneath that, which means if I want to experience forgiveness, I have to forgive. If I want to experience love, I have to give love. And if I make money from a place of fear of being poor, I'll be poor and or feel poor even if I have money. If I'm in a relationship from a fear of being alone, even in that relationship, I will feel alone. It won't be right. But when I can be okay to be alone, when I've allowed myself the opportunity to grow and be okay alone, then I will attract this amazing relationship. If I can rejoice over $1 and feel rich, woo, yeah, dude, that's my first dollar. Like money will start flowing in, but it isn't until, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
that I can be so blessed in the little that the much just starts piling on top of that.
But and I think that rolls into the importance too of depending on, there's a lot of great programs out there, but gosh, why am I drawing a blank on this guy? Dave Ramsey, my girlfriend and I did his course. So Dave Ramsey, kind of the finance guy, but he takes it's a Christian based approach, but in it, it's the
Is Ramsey the guy with the tattoos?
No, he's
Okay.
Dave Ramsey, more conservative guy, does radio and stuff
Okay.
like that. But in his program, there is that talk of we amass this. Our goal is to amass wealth so that our wealth can then be of service to others. We will then give generously. And
Right.
And I think that's so important, as you're saying with everything. Like you're saying, we it's the paradox. You want to love, got to give love,
Yeah.
which is, I think, the biggest confusion that people have, that, when we think of love, society, you're an actor, you've done the roles where it's passion, it's butterflies. No, that's bullshit. It's action. Love is an action.
Yeah, I love it. You're so right. Gratitude is an action. They're all things that we do before the result, and they attract to the result, right?
Yes.
It's that simple.
Yeah. Man, we're just solving world problems here today. That's what we're doing.
I mean, definitely solving interior problems, and maybe, just maybe, that'll radiate out to others. That's the hope.
Yes.
Right. That serenity prayer, all I can really control is my interior situation, because the stillest waters best reflect the heavens. And if I got turmoil in my inner seas, man, I got no ability to be to be in the image. I can't radiate God, because it's just too stormy.
Do you keep memories like you were sharing of the penthouse, the Lamborghini, the outward appearance, because you got a beautiful woman, life, figure wise,
Sure.
life is happy, but there's void inside. Do you keep stuff like that close? And what I mean by that is, I've been they've gotten less and less the toxic dreams, of waking up like, oh, fuck, thank God I'm sober. Okay, I didn't relapse. Yeah. But I try to keep that stuff close to the vest.
Absolutely. What I've tried to do is I've tried to take those decrepit times, those isolated times, those, literally living like a rabid dog, even if I looked good on the outside, but, on the inside, I was a feral beast, snatching all that I could out of the show, snatching all I can out of the stream of life, never having enough, or, busted, disgusted, homeless, whether it's the highs or the lows. What I try to do is I try to take those times and attach them to the proper form of my own restlessness, irritability, or discontent. So I've stacked them, kind of like what's that, like memory, that card game memory, Yeah. Boom, boom. So like I have them all out. There's the 2. So like I turn over the 2. It's like, let's just say in a day, something happens. The check didn't come in the mail that was supposed to come, and I was counting on that check, right? And then I feel the discontentedness of not having money, and I want to step into that. I want to shit the bed, so to speak. I want to be mad, and I want to blame somebody, and I want to make a call, maybe choose somebody out, or I want to not answer the phone when I want to spin out at least a little bit, and maybe a lot. But what I do is, when I feel that, I've trained myself to look, where's that other one? Try to find the matching 2, and it's like, oh yeah, even when I did have all the money in the world, I shit it away. I let it get stolen from me. I let myself be tricked into cons and schemes and scams. I paid exorbitant amounts of money for dumb rent and dumb cars. So when I did have, How could I be unhappy if this check's a day late when I had 10 times more than that? I was still a little biatch. Okay, never mind. I don't care about the check coming tomorrow or next week anymore. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I use them to help me get out of those old mentalities and old mindsets. So yes, we got the spiritual toolkit, but you also need the opposing toolkit of remember when I, did have that or did do that, and I still was restless, irritable, and discontent. That helps me get out of it.
One of the things you said in there for me that can take me to those places of being restless, irritable, and discontent is someone breaking my trust? Like why is a check a day late? Is this now a
Right.
person that I can't trust? And it's like, again, it's where my mind will go into a fantasy mode of a story. And how the hell do I know? It might have gotten the mail might just be a day late. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? And it's like, shit.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Yep. That's exactly what I think. Everybody's mind does that. Some people are more aware of it. Some people are in denial of it, but I think everybody's mind works like that in some way, shape, or form.
Is it part of this, thousands of year old tool that sits up inside our head, that's throws it into a protection mode? Because it definitely can feel like in those moments a fight or flight type situation, because you want to get off in the story. This person screwed me over. I'm going to call them, or I'm going down there, or whatever.
Yeah. Well, what does this really mean? Oh my gosh, do they actually want to fire me and I'm never getting another? We catastrophize it, right?
Yes.
So everybody else probably got their check on time, and it's only me. I'm last on the totem pole. Obviously, we're building a case against ourselves all the time, unfortunately, and that's where like the golden key comes in. That's where I've gotten so proficient with these things that when I experience the discomfort or the fear, I automatically recognize that as something that feels yucky. I don't like it. It doesn't serve me anymore. And instead, I choose to remind myself that the universe is conspiring in my favor, and that I'm embracing the mystery, and then what's meant for me will be. And maybe, just maybe, they're going to call and, decide to double pay me, or, I got more. We didn't pay you because we want you to come in and do another thing, or, you know what I mean? Like, who knows? Let's find out.
How do you look back on things now? I mean, you had, me obviously not having been there. It was such an intriguing thing. I think we're about the same age, and so here I was, a cat watching you on TV, and always fascinated with acting. Done a little. Ironically,
Cool.
My best paying commercial work, Jeremy. I show up. It's for a lawyer, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna need you to play a criminal that's been in handcuffs and all these scenarios. Do you think you can pull this off?" I'm like, handcuffs, cops? Yeah, I think I can do that. But
Yeah, what a stretch.
yeah, but the reflection upon the past of these things, these experiences, especially the stuff that's the public eye thing, it's such a unique, like, part of your life story that most people don't experience. Like, wow, I was living public eye at one point.
Yeah.
And not that
Yeah.
you don't now, but I'm saying, as a child, #1 TV show, music hits,
It's funny you brought up the jail stuff, man, because I can remember those times. You're in the back of that cop car and you have no idea how you did this again. Like, how did I let this happen again? It was just gonna be real quick. That's it was just gonna be real quick. I was gonna start and stop, and it's been 6 months, and I'm emaciated, sick, and looking at another prison term now. How did this happen? That pain, that misery, that embarrassment. They're valuable times. However, no amount of pain, no amount of no number of overdoses is enough to keep me from using again. No amount of jail time, no amount of we call it frothy emotional appeal. Oh my gosh, I'm never going to do that again. It was horrible. Yes, you will. Yes, you will. And worse, and worse. It gets worse, never better. We are doomed to repeat the past and worse without getting some real concrete stuff in place, without enhancing our consciousness, without raising our awareness and tapping in more spiritually. I will repeat the past and worse. So, I do use those moments. I never want to feel that way again. And I don't have to, provided, I'm willing to really get in flow with the solution. To really continue to do the work, continue to get selfless, continue to be of service, continue to show up, continue to pray and meditate, and stay in touch with the solution and the formula for living, which is the thing I never had. I never had a real formula to follow. I always mixed in a few of my own ingredients or cheated the system or took the shortcut, and it just never goes well. So I follow the formula now. And that's the thing that allows me to not do those same mistakes again. Because that's the insanity of this addiction disease. A lot of people think I just need to do what I used to do, but better. Right. Or I just need to get back what I used to have, and then I'll be okay. I just need to get them off my back. And, what happens when they get off your back and they stop being worried about you, whoever they are, cops, lawyer, mom, family, wife, when they're looking the other direction, it's like, hey, this is a perfect opportunity to take a couple sips. You know what I mean? So, getting them off my back, or getting off probation, or getting an apartment back, or getting a job back, rebuilding on the same shitty foundation, where it's termite infected, man. The house already fell on that foundation. Mm-hmm. You gotta gut that SOB, and you got to build a new foundation. I got it. If my structure is to stand the test of time, and what does that foundation look like? I don't know. How deep does it need to be? That's where we talk about not skimping on the mortar, on the sand to make mortar. You got to have a concrete foundation, because no amount of that pain, no amount of those pleasures, if no amount of the pleasures that I've experienced were enough to make me happy, right? Mm-hmm. Temporarily fleeting happiness. And I've had some crazy, drug-induced orgy, money, playmates, hanging out in the grotto at the Playboy Mansion. I've experienced some stuff that people dream about, and it wasn't enough to make me happy. It scratched an itch temporarily, but it wasn't enough to fulfill me spiritually and make me really feel a part of life. So it would only make sense that no amount of pain, no amount of discomfort is really enough to keep me clean and sober either. Yeah. So therein lies the real weird task of finding that place of neutrality, safe and protected, right in the middle. I'm not cocky. I'm not afraid. I don't got this, but I'm not doomed to fail. I got this working order of things, this new working order, this design for a living where I suit up and show up. You said it earlier, put one foot in front of the other, take the next indicated step, trust God, clean house, help others, and continue to grow. And this process has been the real pivot point, for me.
Yeah. Well, and I liked what you said there about, forget that. Because I hear it so much. I want to get my job out. I want to get this back. And it's like, I and I had to do this with myself. Stop, because it's already bullshit, because you built it on falsehood anyways. So it's not going to, there's nothing about it that's going to be genuine. It's a house of cards. It's, that's what you're playing with. And so that is, for me, and thank you for elaborating. There's so many things that's going to be great when I go back to listen back to this and put it together that I'm like, oh, write that down. But thank you. Yes, I concur. That's the easiest way to say it.
Nice. You spot it because you got it, baby.
I'm working it. I'm working
Nice.
it.
Nice.
And that might be some of the, like I was saying, I don't remember if it was on this before I hit record or what, maybe some of that discontent is that it's okay. There's something more here. There's something more that you're not giving, that you're not putting out there, that you're, so yeah, it's a lot of self-examination lately, for sure. For sure.
Beautiful, man.
Hey, I like to jump into some fun random questions just because let's just have some shits and giggles. Of course, random questions brought to you by 5150 LTM. Couldn't do the podcast without them, swagging me out all the time. Pet peeves. What are some of your pet peeves? Just shit that irks you.
Let's see. I would say mouth noises or ticks. People that do repetitive things with their mouth that I can hear.
Oh, that's fun. I've never heard that one, but I get it. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, like a sloppy eater is the worst, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'll almost be easier to get by on sloppy eating because it's like, look, we're like, let's get down like a caveman, get food everywhere, be noisy. But some people will just like do like weird clicky things with their mouth, like at random times, repeatedly. I guess I would say even above and beyond that, pet peeves would be things that people do repeatedly and aren't even aware of. Like girls that touch their hair all the time. They keep doing their hair, or people will do little things like that. And I don't know, I'm like kind of distractible. So every time somebody moves or does a noise, like I hear it. So I feel like it's their fault for continuing to pull me into their obsession.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. I get to let go and be like, oh, okay, never mind. Divine love is the only real power. Your nervous tick has no power over me.
I tend to, and I think people think it's rude or I'm being disconnected, but I'll oftentimes look down in conversation because there's too much movement that it's like, what is this thing? What is that? What is that body language saying?
Yeah.
So it's just like, I just want to hear what you have to say here. So
I close my eyes often. I get it. Yeah.
You're stranded on a deserted island. You got one music artist's greatest hits and one movie. What are they?
We're gonna go Michael Jackson probably.
Right on.
And one movie, man, that's tough. Have you seen Big Fish?
Yes, beautiful.
Danny
film.
DeVito. Yeah, maybe that one.
All right. Do you got a good on set story or maybe a coworker story that you'd be willing to share? Someone from a past cast member or something that you fondly recall?
So Michelle Williams, or I could tell you about Michelle Williams or Kelly Slater. You pick.
Dude. Let's go Kelly Slater.
Yeah, so Kelly Slater, I was a boogie boarder. So, 10 years old, 11 years old, and I loved to boogie board. I knew how to surf, but I preferred to boogie board. And Kelly Slater would sneak up behind me, and he would take his two fingers. You can tag Kelly Slater in this. He'll actually respond. He's super cool. Actually, we can use this clip. If you make a little sound bite, use this clip. Kelly Slater used to sneak up behind me with two fingers, and he would go up under my armpits and he would lift me in the air, and I'd be dangling with these fingers in your armpit, which is the most painful thing you've ever experienced, right? And he called them the meat hooks. He would put me on the meat hooks or something like that. And, I'm like 11 years old. He's like, are you going to start surfing? Are you going to stop boogie boarding? And I'd scream, yes. And then like, he would catch me boogie boarding, like on my lunch break, and like, he'd do it to me again. And so he would dangle me off these fingers and, until I started surfing. And one day Kelly Slater, the best surfer in the history of the world, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. He sat on the beach for like an hour and just watched my little 11-year-old ass who sucked at surfing catch waves, man. And that was the biggest deal in the world to me because, you know, I was all about Surfing Magazine. I was digging through the trash at Quicksilver, where they manufactured wetsuits, and I would steal like scraps of wetsuits and make bracelets. So I was watching surf videos of Kelly Slater before he was on Baywatch. You know what I mean? He was like a big deal. And so, I mean, it's like having Michael Jordan come and watch you shoot hoops, you know, it was a huge deal, man.
That's cool. Yeah, I picked the right one. I picked the right story. That's pretty badass. As a kid that grew up right near Santa Cruz, that's a cool
you
story.
Get it. You get it. Yep.
Yeah. And I sucked at surfing too, by the way. I never could pop up. Well,
compared to Kelly Slater, we all suck.
All right, I'll just improv this one here.
Boxer briefs. I already know what you're going to ask. Trunk cut. I'm just kidding.
That's right. Yeah, we got to have the boxer briefs. Huh? Now, where are we at now? I mean, you know, you're doing the work here with all the rehabs. I mean, man, just an awesome show. I still, if I get down there, want to pick your brain a little bit because the next part of my journey I'm working on is this body, and not in vanity sense, but just I'm like, I need that challenge again. I used to love to lift weights and everything, but where are you with not only the work you're doing with the rehab, the mental health? Are you still getting out there? Are we still doing some of the modeling stuff? We kind of thrown that to the back right now. That's just not where the calling is.
Not where the calling is. I mean, look, if someone someone wants me to, you know, do something for their brand, or they want to, you know, I'm whatever. If it's like I can be of service and, you know, work with friends. Yeah. But I'm not chasing down anything. Don't have a manager. I don't have an agent. I'm not trying to do any of that. I'm happy. I'm useful, doing what I'm doing. I feel, you know, emotionally, spiritually rewarded. I'm making as much money as I want to, or as I need, but want and need. So that's all good. You know, we talked about the fitness thing, man, and I have this threefold approach, man. It's you know, the three legs are you got to feed the spirit, right? The spirit's hungry. It needs to be fed. It needs that spirit food. The mind needs to be sharpened. You can't let your mind get dull. You know, sharpen the mind, raise in intelligence, learning and developing new skills, studying, right? And the body actually must be conditioned. It craves turmoil and hurt. It wants to be pushed. It's created to be pushed because you know, your pain threshold really lowers when you don't introduce your body to resistance, whether that's running or sweating or weights or you know, movement, any kind of movement. It could be dance, but you gotta condition the body to standing up to more pain, more load, and more pressure.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the body's going to win, and it's going to be sick. You know, it'll be soft and sick and meek and frail. If you don't use it, you lose it for sure. So you introduce the body to becoming more conditioned. And it's weird because you know, the workout hurts in the beginning bad. But what you don't realize is that as time goes on, you're doing so much more. You're chasing that hurt. You know what I mean? So it's literally becoming stronger and more resilient and forged and strengthened. So you're weathering storms that you never could have weathered in the beginning. I mean, you would have folded and been broken. So it's a really amazing thing to be able to condition your body to do so much more than it could at first. And it's a sense of accomplishment. It's an esteemable act. And it does feed a healthy sense of confidence and self-worth, pride of ownership. Like, this is my body, and it's strong and it's capable and it's able. If a house was on fire, I could kick down a door and run up and carry somebody out. You know what? If a house is on fire and you're like, oh God, you go into fight or flight before you even do anything. Your body has no conditioning. It's already shut down. You're weak. You're tripping, whatever. Right. So it is an important piece of the puzzle, feeding that spirit, getting your soul food and sharpening that mind. That's kind of the threefold Jeremy Jackson approach.
I dig it, man. I dig it. I'm going to text you more about that, but it's what you said there was, God, what's the term that I heard used? Unnecessary suffering, I think was how some people used it in the realm of, if it's dunking in an ice bath or the cold shower or whatever.
Sure.
So for introducing ourselves to these things, then like you said, it raises our threshold that that other stuff, when it's normally a fight or flight mode, like you said, we don't go into the panic thing. We go into the action that is there, and it's a manageable situation.
Absolutely, man. Yep.
So it's gnarly shit. We could do a whole podcast on that sometime. Maybe we could come back. Hey, thanks for your time, brother.
Thank you, brother.
I like to leave the guests. This is kind of your floor. Anything that you want to lend to anyone, maybe it's them struggling, their loved one, whatever it is that you would want to drop some knowledge.
Man, I think we really covered a lot of the stuff today. The solutions are out there. The help is willing, and we could feed into a lot of the problems. We could nitpick about what's going wrong, but I encourage people to start being more conscious, more aware, and more focused on what is going right. If I could leave you with anything, it would be to not focus on the problem, because the problems will grow, but to continue to focus on the solution, find the solution, and find some statements that appeal to you and start repeating them to yourself daily to feed into that quantum field, to start attracting what is your divine birthright, all the abundance, all the blessings, all the peace that was meant for you all along. That hurt people will hurt people, and that sick people get other people sick, but transformed people, they transform people. And when you're able to be useful and effective in your home, in your community, in your city, in your state, in your world, that is where you feel purpose driven, and that is where you feel useful and effective. And that is the greatest gift of all time. And you can't do that. You can't give away what you don't have. So work diligently to transform on a daily basis, so you can be that worker amongst workers, so that you can be that helping hand. The world needs you. The world needs this. So nothing but that type of prosperity is really worth having. And if you can have that kind of prosperity in your own internal life, in your own internal thoughts, in your own internal attachments and connections to your limited self, speaking into existence the infinite, and being that channel of divine love, man, everything else will fall in your lap. I can promise you that. And jump out and follow me on Instagram, very active there at Jeremy Jackson Fitness. Any questions? I'd love to get shout outs from you. Repost this episode or a little clip of it. Tag me, please. We need support. We need love. I'm looking to create an army, man, of like-minded individuals, join forces, and be more effective together.
Absolutely. And the links are in the podcast description, so click it, people. Heck yeah, this is great.
Keep knocking doors down, baby.
Everybody that said you're going to love Jeremy, they were right. So I get to go tell them they were right, man.
I give it and I get it back. That's beautiful.
Hey, brother. God bless. Thank you.
Appreciate you, man.
This is the Knockin Doorz Down podcast.